What's up YouTube, Daniel here. We're on part 5 of our new player's guide to World of Warcraft in 2020. I just want to take a second out just to say thank you for all the support that you've given so far. I really do appreciate it. All the likes and the follows on Twitter and Twitch and on YouTube. Amazing. If you're not already, subscribe to the YouTube channel, go follow on Twitch. I'm live every Wednesday and Friday now. I've cut Mondays out just to do a bit more YouTubey stuff and provide some more content for you guys. So hit the bell icon and you'll get those updates. Now what are we doing today? Today we are learning how to be the credit to the team. We're learning how to be the ones who support from the back and keep everyone alive. We're going to learn how to heal. Let's roll the music. Go! Who wants to clip this and say this is how you run this course? No. I'm smarter than you. I'm smarter than you. Oh no, you outsmarted me. Okay guys, let's learn to heal. So, here's the first rule in learning healing. We need to be looking at the player's health bars. Now what I've got in the background is some pre-recorded footage because I think it's easier for me to have the pre-recorded footage in the background in dungeons. Unlike the tanking video where I needed to show kind of positions and skills that you were using, I can't really do that on the mobs because I'm not healing them, I'm healing other players, and you know, I just decided it was a better thing to have footage of all my low level characters healing in dungeons. A similar level to what you guys would probably be expecting if you're a new player. So I've just got that in the background so that we've got something to visualize while I'm going through these things. So player health bars. As you notice on the left hand side is my party bars, and you can see that the player's health will be going up and down, up and down. Now the general consensus that I'm showing you here is that we need to keep those health bars at full. Your main target will be the tank to heal. As long as he's alive, he should gather all of the mobs up, like we explained in the tanking video, and he should be keeping all of those and all of the other players safe. And then it's down to the other players moving out of like fire and ground effects and any other things around that. That's down to them to avoid. So the damage should mainly be happening on the tank, and the other players might not be able to avoid some damage, but you just got to kind of watch them on the off as well, and as well as watching what you're doing too. So you basically have to play whack-a-mole with the health bars. So if something goes down, you pump it back up. If you've got like absorb shields like discipline priests do, you can preemptive the damage as well, and you can stop so much damage from coming in through that. So that's the general idea of healing. I know it sounds such a simple concept, but you kind of have to play whack-a-mole with those health bars as well as avoiding death like we want to in every single situation in a dungeon. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to switch over to my shaman, and I'm going to show you the types of healing we use to accomplish this. Let's go. Okay guys, so we now know the basics of what we need to do with healing. We're going to kind of get on to how we're going to do it. So I'm on my shaman here. I'm just going to use this AFK hunter to kind of show off what I need to do. Just because he's got 2 pets, it's kind of useful actually to show. So there's a few different types of healing. This is what we're going to do here, types of healing. So we have a single target heal, or usually each healing class will have a few different variations of these. Some will have a few extra bits of niche kind of abilities, like for instance discipline priests have shields, which I'll go over in a second, but for the most part everyone will have a single target heal. The shaman here has 2 different types of single target heal. It's got like a quicker one and a longer one there, you see. This will just heal the target that you're targeting, and if it does any kind of like splash healing on the others, that will happen, but for the most part it will do its largest amount of healing on that one target that you're targeting. So if I switch to his raptor here, you can see that I heal that guy. If you switch to the scorpion, which they're actually called raptor and scorpion, which is kind of funny, you can see I heal that guy. Now as I said, what we're trying to do is kind of play whack-a-mole with the health bars. It's kind of good that when you're switching between them you can switch through the health bars, and you can just, this is kind of like your general sort of style of healing that you'll end up doing. But sometimes there'll be large group damage, and say all 4 of us were being hit by an ability, we can use AoE healing. So you see this is the ground placement here for the healing rain. This will actually heal, and it's going to get that guy too. It will heal everyone here for 72 over those times. Shamans are actually quite good with AoE healing. They've got good area effect cover. They've got this healing stream totem, you've got the healing rain. I'm going to put that back down again. You've got chain heal, which if you watch that, it will bounce over everyone, kind of splashing water on everyone. So that's AoE healing. The next type of heal you'll find is what's called a hot. Now we've gone over before dots, which is damage over time. Hots is actually heal over time. So if I actually just stick this on those two, you can see that it will slowly tick, eventually running out, which I'll have a look. I don't know where I don't have timers up, which will show me, but you'll be able to see it on the bars once you start healing. You'll be able to see if it's run out or not. And then you can spread that around everyone, and they're called heal over times. And if I just switch over to my priest, ba-da-ba-dum, ba-dum, ba-da-ba-dum, ba-dum. What? Boom. I'll use this little warlock as an example here. It's a little level 1 warlock. This is sort of absorb damage. So if I pop the shield, do I have shields up? Oh, it's not on my bar. Okay, we'll change that. We'll start again. I'll wait for that to run out on him. Come on, run out. Boom, onto my priest. Okay, so the last type of kind of healing that I wanted to show here is absorb healing. And this is mainly used by shields. I think paladins can still do it, but I'm not too sure. But the Disc Priest is a massive example of a shielding class, and I think in Shadowlands they're only going to be back to their former glories of blocking damage rather than healing it. So you see I've got this little warlock here. If I put a shield on him, and it puts an 176 absorb on him, I can put it on myself as well, I believe. There we go. And then you can kind of like shield the whole party. Let's pretend that was our whole party. Shield the whole party, and then a big wave of damage comes in, the shields get taken away, and then there's less damage to heal up with your, say, single target heals as such. So that's all the different types of healing. So to reiterate, it was the single target. We've got AoE healing, we've got hot healing, which is heal over time, and we've got damage, absorbs, and shields that go over your party as such. Okay guys, so we've learned how to whack-a-mole the health bars and keep our party alive. We've learned the different types and ways that we can do to achieve that, which obviously depends on class and spec. The next stage we need to work on are fine-tuning the little details which will form good habits to make you better in the long run in your WoW healing career. The first of those being mana management. Mana management is something that you really do need to learn as you go along. It's something that you will pick up as you go along, but the kind of idea is if you have 0 mana, you can't heal people in your party, and therefore inevitably you end up in death. Now, you will get things that will help replenish your mana back if you are worrying that this fight or this dungeon or whatever, I can't keep this fight up with this little bit of mana that I've got. I have to burn it all. You get abilities and you do get mana potions that you can use to replenish those mana. So it might take a bit of forward planning, but like I said, this will be a lot more in the long run that you'll find these kind of situations. Like raid bosses, for example, you'll need like mana potions and stuff to keep your mana management good. But if you are good with your mana throughout a dungeon, you won't have to sit and drink or have any downtime, and you can move a bit faster. Obviously, you know, as your resource, you want to keep your resources healthy, and mana management, if you keep looking at that and keep making sure that your mana's at a good place, you won't have any problems keeping people alive. The next thing is dispels. Now, dispels are on an 8-second cooldown when you successfully dispel an affliction or a debuff that is on a party member. Now, this could be a curse, which is highlighted in purple, a magic effect, which is highlighted in blue, a poison, which is highlighted in green, and a disease, which is highlighted in a kind of yellow orangey colour, or browny yellow. Mustard yellow? Let's call it that. Each healer can do 2 of these. I believe like a shaman can do like curse and magic, and a monk can do, I think, poison and disease. So these are important that you keep an eye on dispels. That there are fights in the game where dispelling is absolutely vital, and you'll need to dispel either the tank as a priority, a melee DPS as a priority, a range DPS as a priority, or even yourself as a priority. For example, we'll use an example of this. Say there is a magic debuff that gets sent out onto two of your DPS, your mage and your rogue. This magic debuff reduces cast time by 50%. Who are you going to prioritize? The mage, because the mage is the one who's casting spells, whereas the rogue is not. He is effectively just melee DPS. He is using his abilities to attack in melee range. He doesn't cast any hard casting spells. It does not affect him whatsoever. The mage, however, will be significantly hampered by the 50% reduced cast time. So you're going to want to dispel him over priority, for the same reason as if all your melee DPS and your tank get a debuff put onto them which increases damage taken by 30%. You're going to want to throw that out on your tank, because the tank's the one who's going to be taking the damage at that point, and then the melee DPS can wait for after, if not bother at all. Dispels are a real key skill that you need to learn that will separate you from good healer for a bad healer. It can wipe parties, it can completely change the way you're healing. In fact, even that one little dispel could actually help you effectively heal the rest of the group and give you an easier time. So who doesn't want to help themselves? But if you learn those two things, dispels and mana management, they will really, really, really train your muscle memory to keep looking at the bar and to keep pulling those dispels off of people, and it will give you good practice for when you're hitting those Mythic Plus dungeons that ultimately you're probably going to want to be hitting, and hitting those raids that you're going to also want to be hitting, which is endgame stuff, I know, and it's a whole another kettle of fish, but we'll get into that at another time. So this is kind of the mechanical parts out of the way. We need to kind of go for the mental ability and the, like we had with tanking, awareness, but there's kind of two parts to this kind of mental thought that you need to go through personally that will really, really, really push you, not just as a healer, I suppose, but as a general World of Warcraft dungeon player and raid player and just general PvE player. You need to kind of learn dungeons, and you need to have the knowledge. So once you've done something once, if you can learn it after that, then excellent, you're going to excel in all sorts. But if it takes you a couple of runs to start learning what certain bosses do, what certain mobs do, what certain packs are going to be heavy healing, what certain packs are going to be fine, what dispels are going to happen, where you're going to need a lot of mana for, where you could use your mana cooldowns. All of this comes from having this kind of dungeon mapping in your head and just general fight mapping. I think I'm just going to call it that, fight mapping. If you can learn where the shady parts are going to be and where the easy parts are going to be, you can really, kind of start chilling and paying attention to everything else that's going on. In an ideal world, your DPS will do exactly the same, and they won't stand in any fire, they won't stand in any danger. The tank will use his cooldowns correctly on every single fight, and your life will be friggin' easy, right? If everyone does exactly as they need to, your life will be really, really, really easy. However, that's always not going to happen, and that's going to bring me on to my next point, is risk assessment. You need to kind of keep an eye on things like bad positioning, perhaps maybe someone's lagging and they keep falling into like fire or into the ground effects, or keep getting hit by things, or the tank's perhaps not using his defensive abilities enough so that he's taking a lot more damage. You kind of have to be sort of like a health and safety officer. You need to really assess what's going on, and as a healer you kind of have time to do that, because you don't need to be as active. And I will get on to, I do stress that playing World of Warcraft, if you want to be a good player, you need to be very active, and I will go over how else you can be active in a second. But if you need to take a step back and assess, being a healer, it's the perfect opportunity to do that. And you need to kind of think, right, the tank's perhaps not the best tank in the world. Instead of, worrying about that, I'm just going to worry about what I can do to keep him safe, and then that's it. Bang. If you can play to his weaknesses, you play your strengths to his weaknesses, then that's going to really make you successful in your healing career. DPS are always going to stand in fire. That's a certainty, especially melee. Melee's always a problem. They stand in everything, but they can't always help it. And especially if you're all new players, it's so much easier to stay and get hit by things like cleave as a melee character than it is as a ranged character. So just bear that in mind. Like, you know, your melee DPS might get hit a lot more. You might be wondering why. So you just need to risk assess and play to the strengths. Now, like I said, if you have a good group and you're chillaxing, this is my next point. Once you've learned all of the things that I've talked about now, so that's make sure you whack them all those health bars, keep everyone alive. You've got your types of healing that you know how to deal with certain situations now because we've got those different types of healing. You can dispel well, you can manage your mana well, you know how to risk assess because you've learned all of the dungeons and you're feeling pretty good and you know the fights and you're cruising now. And let's say at endgame, you're cruising with all the endgame dungeons, you know what you're doing, you feel good with your healing. Your next thing is to add damage into your healing. Now, damaging, it has its upsides and downsides. Upsides, obviously, the dungeon goes a lot faster, and I think later on down the line, you will be required to do some damage, especially on bosses and stuff, on certain weeks with our fixes in Mythic Plus, which we will go through at one point. But damage is going to obviously increase the damage over the time of your dungeon. So it's going to make things go faster, better, and when you're doing time dungeons, it's going to be better for that. However, as a new player, it could be very easy to get carried away. And if you're a preliminary DPS player, you could get carried away and then people start to die and you're like, oh god, what have I done? I've been damaging, and then you get blamed and everyone gets angry, which is always going to happen anyway. You've got to learn that as a healer, you're going to be blamed for a lot of things. If everyone dies, it's going to be your fault. Even if it wasn't, it's going to be your fault. So you need to be a bit more thick-skinned. I think you need to be thick-skinned to play WoW nowadays anyway, but as a new player coming into the game, it's a brave feat to have done. So stick with it. But if you can learn your kind of like your damaging abilities, what can pump out some damage and keep your mana management good as well as being able to heal everyone, that's when you're going to become the ultimate healer. So it might seem a tad boring at first healing, and it might seem really easy at first with like low level healing and stuff, but the fun comes towards the end game when things start to get even more hairy and things start to hit even harder, and it becomes a little bit more of a skill cap. So with that being said, guys, if you really enjoyed the healing video, I would really appreciate any likes, comments, anything that you'd like to see after the DPS one that I'm going to do next. If there is anything that you new players want me to cover after that, I will definitely try and pump out a video for that. Guys, it's been a pleasure today. I've been Danimal. Get on that healing, keep everyone alive, and become the hero that you deserve. Catch you later.